Welcome to Kaks Bar and Podcast, Canada's first podcast bar. What that means is you can come here for food, you can come here for drinks, you can also come here and record a podcast. Come on down, we're located in downtown Calgary, Alberta in the Beltline area. See you soon. And we're rolling. I'm here today with Armando. This is a treat for me. Armando was performing live music for us after our Flames home game, just like Max Mann was as well. Shout out Max. These guys are talented. They fucking know what they're doing. I'm super impressed. If you ever get a chance to see Armando play, I absolutely go like follow him in the show notes there and find out where he's playing at. You were on Canadian Idol as well, right?
I was top 100, but that was like back in the day. I was like 16, but
okay,
yeah, I sure was.
Shit, man. Okay, so back in the day, yeah. Well, like I'm glad you're continuing with your art, man.
Yeah,
you're the other day you were performing and there was a guest in the front row and she was just literally like, you can feel that musical energy hitting her, and she was just, like, because I think her husband's like, okay, well, it's time to go, but she was just like, no, I'm vibing. Sit down, Greg. Sit down, Jerry. Sit the fuck down, Jerry.
Here right now.
I'm vibing with Armando, Jerry.
It was awesome.
Yeah. No, Armando, let's get into it, man. Like, you're from El Salvador.
Well, I was born and raised in Calgary, but my family's from El Salvador.
Okay, genetic lineage is El Salvador. Yeah,
totally.
Mm-hmm.
I can speak Spanish a little bit, but I fully understand it.
Okay,
but like my Spanish isn't that great, so I'm like, real Spanish people can tell.
Okay.
I'll say something in Spanish and they look at you all sus. They're like, wait a second, you're from Canada. I could tell.
They're like, your name's Armando.
You're not a real Spanish.
You didn't say that sexy enough.
Where's your R roll?
Yeah, because Spanish is supposed to be the sexiest language alive. Yeah. Hey, I can kind of relate to you because I can understand Cantonese, but when it comes time for me to say it myself, since I don't use it that often, like
it's hard.
It's
like my brain's not switching, right? Like it doesn't think in Cantonese, so how are you supposed to speak it out like that right away?
Okay, I never
process it, right? That's what I think it is.
I agree. When I was a kid, I used to think in Cantonese because I was taught Cantonese first, but it was a very short moment later. Then I was in grade when I was 4, and I went to preschool. Then I was speaking English, and I remember my mind transitioning because I talked to myself in English, not Cantonese. In my mind. But I do remember like understanding to this day pretty much what everyone's trying to say, but my vocabulary is limited in my delivery. So I don't know, maybe we both have that.
I sound like a caveman when I speak Spanish to them, for sure. They're like, wait a second, I understand what you're saying, but...
Well, as long as you sound sexy, I guess.
Right? Yeah. Girls here, you could say anything. They'll just listen. They're like, oh, no, it's Spanish. They're like, yeah, totally.
Enrique Iglesias? What? Okay, so born and raised here, El Salvadorian lineage, and the El Salvador region, like, what's... Was that like Spain and Portugal as well that took over the area?
Honestly,
like,
I don't even know any lineage about any of that. At all. It sounds awful, but I don't. I'm more Canadian than anything else. I think I know more about Canada, but I don't. So don't ask me about Canada either, bro.
It's all right.
I can sing any song you want, though.
Yeah. Okay, we'll dive into that then. No. I like at the same time, like it's. I mean, everyone has to do that 23andMe lineage stuff anyway, totally, now, right? Because it's like no one really knows.
No one knows. I'm afraid to swap my cheek and throw it in one of those things. Find who I'm like connected to.
Well, why are you subconsciously like? I hope not one of those people.
I don't know. I don't know what's gonna pop up. I'm a little crazy myself, so I'm like, just imagining where I'm at. I was like, what came with me? What was before me?
Dude, don't you find that fascinating though?
A little bit. It's scary at the same time.
Because, like, this segues perfectly into what I was about to talk to you about next. Like, your musical gifts, if you will. Like, you definitely keep up with the work ethic because you're hustling. And I see you performing, like, all the time, like, up till, like, the sun coming up sometimes. Like, venues have been keeping you. But tell the audience here, like, Armando literally discovered his skills. He just... Yeah. You said literally guitar is basically thrown at you and you're like...
Yeah, basically. I remember, the first time I picked it up, I was listening to Hoobastank the Reason, and I remember that hit me in the feels. I was like screaming in my room as a kid, and I saw this guitar, and I was like, no. And then I strummed it, and I could feel where I needed to be. Like I could hear the sounds. So I would go to it, and it would just hit me. And then shortly after that, like I put it down and kind of didn't think about that moment till years later. And that's when you see the dots connect. And then my sister's boyfriend at the time showed up with his guitar, was trying to show off. So he like showed me some chords. You were
12.
I was 12 at this time.
12 years old.
And he shows up with the guitar, shows me 4 chords, and then that was it. Like a week later, I'm in the school serenading anyone in the hallway that would listen with the guitar singing these
Oh,
notes,
no way.
and it just progressed from there. And
What
yeah.
what high school were you at in Calgary?
I kind of jumped around a lot, man. I went from like
And sorry, Armando.
Yeah.
How old are you again right now?
I'm 32.
32. Okay, cool.
And like even before we jumped to that, like even music before then, how I had a singing voice. Even my sister was in this opera. She had a teacher who was teaching her opera.
Yeah.
Her name was Jeff, and she was like, I was 6 at the time, and I was watching Anna Green Gables with my mom on the couch, waiting for this girl to be done. And I got bored, so I went in the hallway and I started singing what they were singing in the room. And this opera lady opens and she like slams it open. She's like, "Hey." She like looks at me and she's like, "I'll teach your kid for free." Just like teaches me.
Yeah.
My mom says, "Cool." Teaches me everything, like opera stuff. I was singing in the Jack Singer by 12. Like I was just like musically singing forever. That never left. But then the guitar thing and that kind of being able to hear things and play, that came on way later. And then they kind of like connected way later after that too.
Man, it sounds like an episode of like X-Men.
Yeah, like, it's just like all these
power
skills, like, melted in together. But I can't do math and I can't spell and I won't remember your birthday, but I can sing you any song.
Dude, it's look, that skill you have is more important than anything else you just explained there. Because it I don't know, it brings great times, you know.
Totally.
And I feel like the world right now is in such a shitty fucking place.
Well, and I think music was like will outlive anything really. If you think about it, like look at people that like passed away to when like all these things, but what was left in their imprint in the world, no matter what they did, how bad they were, all these things is their music, because music's medicine.
Music is medicine. I would challenge though. I wouldn't say every sound though is, as they say, timeless, because
totally.
Look, I'm not like you like opera, but don't get me wrong. I understand. Like I understand, I totally respect like what Beethoven did. Like I understand that that's a cool sound, like dun 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 dun.
Totally.
But I don't. I just
you don't resonate with.
I don't resonate with it.
Totally.
Like I know that at that era, that must have been a strong resignation.
Imagine though,
you know,
like or imagine the biggest thing is being deaf and playing piano, and him like people going by ear. Like how do you do that by vibration? And like how do you know that's going to translate to the people at the time? You don't. I think people are just like letting it out, and at that time, that's what they had as of like platform. But how did it grow to this?
So you think that the deaf artist was literally just, I think this will make sense, but he can't
like,
tell.
I think there's like some ways he would have to know, because music is like a systematic mathematical equation, right? Like you can only have a certain amount of things with a certain thing, or it doesn't add up, right? Just like math. Like
okay, so
certain notes can't go with certain notes. It just doesn't. Well, who am I to say that? It could, maybe. I don't know. But in reality, it's not like that. Like if I'm playing a song, there's only a certain amount of chords I can play in that song.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So are you saying that it's almost like the person who can't hear, but he has natural musicianal like mutated skills?
Yeah.
It's like he's just observing music from however he kind of like senses and understands it without the hearing.
How would he
but it's having
know?
the same emotional effect, you're saying?
I think it would, because he's translating from. I think music is like an international language in the sense that anyone can play it at any time, and it doesn't matter where you're at or what you're dealing with or what the song's actually about. It can mean something to 100 different people.
Yeah, it's subjective,
yeah.
but it's powerful. I mean, I remember when I like there's this one anime. Do you watch animes at all?
Honestly, I don't watch anime, but I've seen it.
That's all right.
I don't even watch TV, man.
Okay, that's cool. No, don't worry. Like what I'm about to explain doesn't have you don't have to have seen anime, but there's a classic anime called Macross. All right, so it's a very old school anime. We're talking about right when you were born, right when I was born. But long story short, it's a space opera. Okay, and then there's the original Macross movie, and it's about humanity is only alive left on this one spaceship they call Macross. It's like a fucking like multiple citywide spaceship conserving what's left of humanity. But anyway, there's a great intergalactic war happening in this fucking anime, and it's between actually women and men that have left. The short version, my understanding is that they left the human like genetic pool, and they started procreating without each other. Like, so basically just cloning, self-cloning.
Just cloning each other.
And then centuries pass by, and then the storyline goes, they wrap back around, found each other's existence, and decide to go to war again. And then Macross, which is the original human race, which is kind of like perhaps who the fuck knows where the genetics stem from.
Yeah.
Anyway, this segues back to music, because this movie was made in the 80s, but in the movie, there was this singer. She's kind of like their world's pop princess
Yeah,
superstar.
totally.
Like they animate her all cute and hot and shit. Anyway,
She's the one.
Yeah. So in the middle, like there's spoilers. There's a last like super battle scene where there's like fucking like ships looking like X-wings from Star Wars,
Yeah.
and then ships built like Transformers. Like, but like they got her to sing like a crazy fucking love song,
Yeah.
like and in
it
the middle.
heals other people.
Yes, and that literally they timed it because they needed to stop the hate between the male aliens and the female aliens, and then they just had her literally like deliver this like fucking epic. I'm like remembering the song now, but I remember I was like 4 or 5 when I saw this movie, but I remember when that scene came on.
Yeah,
the music was like, even though this is Japanese pop
Yeah.
music, but I just remember being like, "Whoa! Like this makes me not want to hurt anyone."
Yeah, this changed my life.
Yeah. Suddenly, I feel like hugging someone.
Yeah, every time, just play it.
Yeah. Like it's like music is it's unexplainable. I don't really know what
It's
it
a
is.
sword, man, and you can wield it,
Yeah.
and people don't understand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like even this sounds crazy, but like when I play a show, I'm listening and I'm feeling every energy in the entire room.
Yes.
And it speaks to me and it doesn't speak to me. And if I resonate with it, cool. If I don't, still cool. Because guess what? I can play to you.
Yeah.
I see you. I know what you need.
Yeah.
I can feel that. And when I feel that, then I go there. And depending what you harbor at home on your personal time, what you actually believe, or the things that you fill yourself with, this microphone is a transparent veil no matter what. Even with us speaking, it's transparent. You can't hide yourself too hard. There's these things, you kind of can, but musically you can't.
Yes.
You can feel that. It's a different energy vibration.
Yes. You're right up my alley. What I want to talk about. Like as far as the Macross thing, like I'm done with that. I'm just explaining even back then the anime community was, they realized how crazy music was, and how like that thing actually in that movie it brought an end to the war. It literally that one song united the chicks and men anyway, like. And
made everyone vibrate on a peaceful level.
They teamed back up against their overlords who were clearly controlling them for their own self gain. And then there's this epic last animated scene where like the main protagonist guy, he has his Macross fucking he has his like his robot ship thing, and it turns in with his gun. I gotta fucking show you the scene.
Yeah, man, I gotta see it.
It's powerful. Anyway, it just makes me think of that because I'm like, fuck, man, like Armando, like you have a skill that can bring some serious fucking like love and peace. As hippie as that sounds.
Heck yeah,
you
man.
know,
thanks, I appreciate that.
But dude, the energy thing. That's something I noticed too with this podcast
Totally.
thing. Like it's like because a lot of people are like, what's so different about you're talking to someone? I'm like, it's different when we're doing it like this.
This is way different.
This is way different. Like we're in an intimate room setting. Yeah. Like we're feeding off each other's energy.
There's nothing you hide behind. Like you're out here.
I can close my eyes and I'm like, hey Armando,
we're still here, bro.
Like we're stuck. And I'm just feeling your energy, right? Like it's like that's what I was trying to explain to people why everyone should just try to podcast or rent this room out and like 100%. Shoot a podcast and because it's a different form of conversation. Someone stumbled upon it. It's not like you and I are sitting at the bar having a drink. It's different once there's a microphone.
It's almost amplified in a sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Now you get that out there and you get that with people. You're like, okay, we connected. Come and connect in this room.
Yeah, that's really,
it's a different thing. This whole place is about community.
Yeah.
And that's why it brings people here. It's a hub.
It is.
Of that.
Yeah,
that's what made me connect right away. I saw that. I was like, no, this is a community. This isn't just a bar. This isn't just a place. No. It's a community.
It is. Like, we don't actually give a fuck about making money as much as it sounds like we really don't. Like my partner and I, we just always wanted to build the bar back to the way it because bars are a community hub for people to go chill at. That's supposed to be what it is, It's just somewhere along the way a lot of people are hurting all the time, so then they use alcohol as a medicine, and then But I'm like, okay, like no offense, but we could do that too if you need it.
Yeah,
it's right
either
there.
Way, it's there.
But
it doesn't have to be.
But the goal is to meet guys like you and people who have been podcasting and just grow a great vibe here, because that's the one thing everyone's been saying. Like, Kaks Bar and Podcast, this is a different vibe. I'm like,
man. The second you walk in the door, you feel it. You're like, yep, this is chill.
We don't judge. We just want everyone to have a spot to come chill and hang, and like and be good and celebrate, not medicate is
that's the difference.
The quote that
but it's hard. So many people struggle with that, man. Even I struggle with it sometimes. But at the biggest time, I realized if I'm like, I'd rather not drink to get drunk. I'd rather drink to celebrate about life and feel good. If you drink to get drunk, it's a way different vibe. It's a way different train ride down the night. And you see that, man. You see like the switch in a lot. Like you'll see people drink all night when they're trying to just get messed up. You're like, time for you to go home.
Yeah.
I see it in your eyes, man.
They just don't want to feel anymore. Whatever they're
man.
feeling.
Numb is better, but at the same time, it's almost sad because when you do drink and you do drugs or whatever, it actually amplifies those things.
Oh yeah,
and you think it doesn't at first, but in reality, it does.
It takes the sober one or the one who's not partaking to point out. You're like, okay, you're just trying to escape feeling your pain, but you're actually not a good time for anyone
and you're
else.
Like, you're just making everyone else suffer and yourself suffer more.
Later, but
like
in
the
that
morning,
moment,
man,
but in that morning though, they have that like they have that 3-4 hour period of finally like, I'm not feeling like this trauma or pain or suffering. But again, that's just a testament to how shitty things are. And when I say shitty, I don't mean as in like we're a victim and things are shitty to us. I mean like just things are kind of fucked up right now. Like there's literally 3 world wars, about like 3 simultaneous super wars.
And it's just
like,
how you choose to navigate through it is where you're going to be arrested in a sense, right? Like what do you mean
by that? Like,
if you choose to like lay down and just like accept it, life is shit, and the circumstances around every single person are going to be shit. You're always going to feel that way, and nothing will change. In your sight. It's and you plant your roots where where your minds and where you speak to yourself, right? So if you're consistently being like, oh, blah, it's so negative, you're going to plant your roots exactly where you are. Yeah. That's not what you want. Yeah. Go plant it somewhere nice. Yeah. Be nice to yourself, man. Yeah. The world's crap enough. Why would you add to that?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. It's like, it's that old adage of it's not what happens to you, it's how you react.
Totally. And it's about radical acceptance, to be honest. Radical acceptance. And it's almost a Buddhist term, but like radical acceptance is accepting everything for exactly what it is, how it is, because if you don't do that, there's no way to have a solution right away. And as men, we're about solutions, okay? So, like, women, no, they need to, like, talk it out, feel it out. It's not about the solution game. They want to be heard. So if a woman's talking to you, just listen. But when a man's talking to you, they want a solution. They want an idea. They're telling you this because, bro, I don't know what to do. They want that solution. So how do you get that solution? By radical acceptance. You have to accept this is exactly who I am for exactly what's going on. And if I don't accept that, there's no way to move forward from that because then I'm just going to be numb and blind.
Okay, Armando, though, I want to elaborate more on what you just said there. But radical acceptance, I think it's a proper approach if the challenge primarily is isolated to only affecting yourself.
100%.
But what if you're a world leader right now? Like let's just for a second, let's just as an example, say you're Joe fucking Biden right now, and you're sitting here like.
I feel like it sometimes. I don't remember anything.
So, you change your diaper for the 10th time in the morning, and then, and then you're like, you know what? I got to make a fucking decision right now. And it's like radical acceptance. And it's like, but no, your decision, whatever you decide next, this could either contribute to slaughtering millions of people or uplifting millions. Like, it's like, I don't know. Like, I think that level of pressure and stress,
that's next level.
But the Buddhist approach, though,
I don't think it would work.
I don't think it should work in that sense because it seems almost like you're not showing the same amount of investment into understanding the true amount of impact you're about to have, right?
Totally.
Like, so it's like I don't know. It's tricky because I struggle with that all the time these days with thinking about what I think is a problem in my life. But then trying to relate it to literally because I see all these images of fucking babies getting like murked in over in like Gaza right now.
This is insanity.
Oh man, like and then I just think, okay, like so I shouldn't get too crazy in my thought process of this, but the emotional state though, like the energy we're talking about, that's where I'm like, if I release this now and as in like leave it to God or kind of approach, I feel like the next moment I will be just doing something extremely self-serving, like just watching a show and being like, la, 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 this is not my problem. La, 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 and that's why I feel like, I think
society's like that already, though. Right?
That's why I think what you said is applicable if
I think it's applicable for your personal own transgressions and things that you're dealing with and your life journey. But I don't think it's applicable on a big, large platform where you're leading people. I don't think it could be because in some ways you have to make a hard choice and see and weigh what's a better cost or not better cost.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't resonate with radical acceptance. Because
Keep going. Yeah,
Yeah,
man, yeah.
to be fully radically accepting is a dangerous place, even at times personally.
Well, it just feels like radical acceptance. You can justify anything. That's really what
that is savagely true.
Yeah, like
that kind of hit me in the feelings a little too hard.
Sorry,
that hit me in my feelings a little hard.
What I just said?
Yeah, because it is kind of true.
Yeah,
you can literally justify anything with radical acceptance in a lot of ways.
You know, like, not to get too fucking crazy, but like it's. But seriously, sometimes I think about, like, you know, you gotta this guy like Hitler back in the day, like what he was trying to do was uplift his people, but obviously he self-justified it in the most heinous way, and it's like, but there was a, like, look at the impact it had on history. Totally. I don't know. So I just know we haven't cracked even a bit of our understanding of you know, our own, like, mental health and emotional state. Like it's like it's ever changing. Just because you have one idea that might help that particular situation,
I don't think it works for all.
It can't.
But I think that's with every solution, with everything, right? Everything has to have its own journey and path and choice and solution, and then not what I'm going to take from what I'm feeling is going to help you with what you're feeling.
Yeah, like,
right?
So to kind of, like, because right now, the way we're talking right now to the listeners, it might come off a bit like cryptic. Like, they're like, what the fuck are they talking about? It sounds like it's intelligent. But, like, I know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying. But I know what I've realized now, and this is kind of fucking weird to say, but, like, I'm going to explain it.
Yeah.
It's like you, as a classic man, if you will, right? Like, as a classic man, because as a classic man, you're supposed to be the strong one, providing and trying to create opportunities for the people you're trying to take care of, right?
Totally.
So, like, as a man, you almost need to accept. When you said radical acceptance of everything as is, I have a different approach where it's more like you have to be more like, literally, like, whether you're religious or not, you got to take that Jesus approach, as in you're carrying all the stress.
Yeah.
And you should be privileged to enjoy carrying that stress. If that makes sense. You should be happy. Hey, I don't get to sleep 4 hours. I don't get to eat 2 meals. I don't get 3 meals. I don't get, like, I have to train off an empty stomach. I have to, like, grind, and, like, because think about it. Someone like you is the one setting it up so that 10,000 people can enjoy being on the beach.
But that's the fact, right? Like,
you know, it's
the
like
battles you choose not to fight, everyone else has to fight for you.
But maybe they don't want to, or they can't, or they like.
So that's why it's your job to take on what you need to take on.
Yeah, and it's hard, but it's like, it's weird. It's almost having a sadistic approach to enjoying your own existence. It's like you have to enjoy feeling like shit.
Totally, man. And it's, for sure. And I think that's with any of your actual real goals too, right? Like, if you didn't love the things you do, you're not going to finish them. And if you don't, you know, because the thing is, it's hard to do the things that you really love.
Okay, so, but, okay, I want to continue on this topic here right now. Yeah. I feel like we're in a good
going.
Yeah. So, okay, like, I for some reason I went on a big Sir Winston Churchill kick like a couple weeks back, and because I was really thinking, like, that guy, like, in the peak of World War II, like, the Germans were right up on his fucking doorstep, right? And then, like, in Hitler's mind, he's like, okay, this is time. Like, I want the world to be a certain way. I can picture it. To him, that's God's will. Yeah. And it's just like, and then you got this guy now. He's like, hey, he's making hard decisions. Like, every piece of metal, donate it now so we can melt it into a weapon. Yeah. He's sitting there, like, probably not sleeping, not eating. He's, like, smoking cigars because, you know, he needs a little bit of dopamine. Yeah, but he's sitting here making, like, hard decisions, coordinating with, like, Roosevelt and whoever. And, like, I'm in his state. I'm like, okay, do you just literally, like what, like, every decision you make is literally, like, you think you love your mom and dad and your brother and sister and friends, like. Yeah. Every decision he makes is amplified as understanding that someone in that realm of connection to someone else, it could literally result in a mutilating death, or fucking a traumatic life, or, like, just a hard existence. Like, so how does one like that keep it all together? How does he do his job, as, you know, because you say you have to love what you do. Maybe he does love leading people. Maybe he does love making a difference. Maybe he does love... But
not in those moments. How do you love it in those moments?
In those moments, it's like, it goes back to what...
That's when it's the time to pull the trigger. That's the time to be like, do the hardest part.
But the hardest part, though, executing, say he's like, hey, you know what? I thought about bomb the city in Germany. Like, release the bombs. oh, there's going to be women and children. It's like, okay, like I've waited out. This has to happen.
Yeah.
Bomb strategically at this point. Take out their energy refinery. This bang, 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 bang. And then it's like, okay, like crush this one city here because like that will literally, that city has loads of women and children. It's like we have to do that because it's going to cause a massive confusion. And in that moment, like, you know, like the resources goes down to trying to, like, you know, tend to all the chaos. Like that's when we come to the left. Like if someone is at that state where they're literally thinking like that just to execute an outcome, there's no way, if he's a human fucking being, there's no way that he can do that without having recreated an entire different way of thinking so that he can actually swallow that emotional state that he's about to.
But do they really ever? Or do they do it in the time in the moment?
I think they have to. And like that's where things like you kick in because of music and stuff, right? Like as long as we know that the leader who's making that decision is not doing it from a absolutely unconnected
or like malicious, selfish, like
it's literally
disconnected.
Okay, so like
soul.
Like I don't know, do you play chess at all?
No, bro, I don't.
Okay, but you know what chess is, obviously.
Yeah, totally.
So it's like imagine you're playing that game of chess and like you're just the guy, but imagine those pieces are real.
Yeah,
like that's a real guy.
Yeah,
because you're like, hey, I need you to move here, just sacrifice yourself so that the other piece can move here.
That's true.
Like it's like, and it's like, well, why am I sacrificing myself? It's like, well, the end result is literally we win, so we can keep living.
Yeah, like, well, and that's it, right? But to make those calculated choices.
Yeah, it's.
I'm glad I just get to sing. I'm glad I just get to sing, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
me in those moments, I'm like, yo, let everyone live. We're good.
Yeah. But that's
that's not how it works.
That's not how it
works.
That's
not how it works.
We're literally created with the most contradictory attributes to inflict the most heinous.
Isn't that the truth, though?
It's like, but at the same time, without it, there's not all the beauty and good. I don't know, like. It takes a storm to create a fucking rain to drop honestly, the water to create the plant.
Even back to music, I feel that way too. I do not think people can express themselves unless they felt a certain amount of hurt or a certain amount of emotional turmoil to be able to express themselves in that kind of manner.
I understand.
Because to do what I do, to be that vulnerable and open on a mic like that is really hard. And to be able to
dive into that.
It is really hard because when you're up there, especially if it's your own tune, you write a song and it's about some old lady you loved or some whatever, or just where you were emotionally in that moment. You have to be open and vulnerable enough to let the world see that. Because I guarantee you probably like 100 songs that I've written, I'd only let the world hear like 4 because the other ones are too vulnerable for me and I don't want people to know that.
Like
how do you let that go? And I think that's my issue for sure.
I'm not trying to crack the shell here so that I can have views.
Yeah,
I literally like Armando. This is what I do anyway. If the cameras weren't rolling, like how hardcore is that trauma, man? Like, what are we talking about?
Mine goes way back, brother. Like for real. Like I had a great family. I had a good upbringing. I think my biggest thing, I had cancer really young, like 15.
Yo, right? You were explaining that.
Straight up.
Can you?
I'll elaborate that hard. So growing up, I was like in a really religious home.
Yeah.
Which
religion?
Like Christianity. So like they were just like really Christian. My mom was, my dad not so much. I had 2 older sisters, but we went to church. We did all that. My mom worked at the church. I went on mission trips as a kid with my mom at like 6 to like 13. I was really in the church world.
Yeah.
As I got older, I got really into soccer and things like that. I was playing high level soccer. I was on like under 18 and I was 16. I was in like junior MLS with Calgary Wildfire. Like I went all over, and I was super healthy, super fit.
Were you forward, midfield?
I was actually a goalkeeper, which is surprising. I could jump and hit my head on the top post. Like I had a really huge vert.
Oh, nice.
But I trained a lot. I was good at it, and I was really healthy. But I was living a kind of crazy life at the time. Even as a kid at that time, I was just kind of risky. Like I would want to go smoke pot and want to do these things. I was so small.
Did you answer this already in the beginning of the pod? Like, what junior high school did you go to?
No, I honestly, I went to a lot.
Okay.
I'll add that into this part of the story.
Okay, yeah.
So that's like growing up, like I was kind of wild playing these things, but I would also get in a lot of trouble in school. So I went from like everywhere you could go, but eventually I ended up going to Calgary Christian School because my parents like worked there, and they were just like, that's how they got me in there, and like I started going to this Christian school and had this like other religious part of me but I still wanted to go party and do all these other things on the side. So it was like super conflicting time for me.
Yeah.
And then
most people.
I remember I was 15 at the time, and then there was this mission trip we could go to in Montana. I was at Center Street Church, and we were like, everyone was going on this mission trip, and I had this little girlfriend, so I'm like, yeah, for sure, I'm going to go on this trip. So I'm on this trip, and before I went on this trip, I got in a fight at school, and I had this lump in my neck from like lymph nodes, like being swollen or whatever, but it got hit, and then it turned into 2, and I thought nothing of it. And I was like, no. And like a week before I went on this trip, I saw this movie, The Motorcycle Diaries. And I'm watching.
Is that with Ewan McGregor?
I'm pretty sure,
yeah,
bro. I can't remember.
That's with the guy from Star Wars, right?
Like,
Obi-Wan, right?
No, I don't remember. I don't know if he's in it. I can't say that.
Okay.
I can't genuinely say that out there. But I remember watching it. It's about this doctor from Argentina that like drives all the way up to like the States. I don't even fully remember the movie, but I remember he's driving through in Argentina and he finds this old farmer, and he's like a doctor driving through, and he's like, "Can you check out my neck?" The old farmer says it to the guy, and he checks out his neck, and all he said in the movie was, "That guy's going to die and this isn't good." And then they drive off to the next part. And I don't really remember that. But then I went to my sister, who was a nurse at the time, and I said, "Hey, I got these lumps. We should check them out." Got a fine needle biopsy before I left for this missions trip that my family threw me on in Montana. I drive out there with my friends. I'm young. We start building these like shacks, building these, you name it. Like we're building like baseball net, everything for this reserve out there. And it was really cool. And I met this little kid.
And again, sorry, you're what, 15, 16?
I'm 15 at this time.
Okay.
And I was just like, at this time, I was kind of crazy. But then I was like, I'm going to go on this mission trip and really try to devote myself to God. And I remember like working on these things and being like, God, like, I'm really trying to be good and like promising that I'm going to do all these things if God will like help me out with things that I wanted in my life, kind of deal. And I met this little kid on this trip, and he kept touching my lump. It was weird. Like 3 days, he would always touch it. And he's like, "No good." And he'd say that, and it'd creep me out. And then I woke up one morning, and like the pastor was like, "Hey, you need to come talk to me." And I was like, "Oh, this is sus, man. Sus." So he takes me, like, he walks me through the school because we were all sleeping in a school.
Yeah.
And so there's a boys' side and a girls' side, and he walks me through the girls' side. And I'm like, "Oh, like, did he see me like kiss my girlfriend at the time?" Like, I was like, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." And then I was like, "No." Then we get to this room, and I'm like, "What did I do, man?" And he's like, "Nothing. Your parents called me, and your results came back, and they told me to tell you." And they're like, "You have cancer." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "You have Hodgkin's lymphoma." And he starts listing off the people that survived it. And I'm like, "Nah, man, like, okay." But I'm sitting there like, what the hell does that have to do with me? Like, I have cancer? What do I do now? So I'm like, "What's that mean?" He's like, "You got to go back home today. Your parents are going to come pick you up." I'm like, "Okay." And so I'm sitting there, and he's like, "You want to tell anyone else?" And my best friend at the time, his name's Gabe Fasan.
Did you have pain or anything?
Honestly, no. I just had lumps.
Okay.
And I sweat a lot at night, but that was it. Nothing else. And I was like super fit. I wasn't fatigued. I had nothing wrong other than my blood came back a little weird when I did a blood test. And so I'm out there, and this guy asked me, he's like, "Do you want to tell anyone else in the group?" And I'm like, "Yeah, my best friend Gabe." So this kid, he's like 6'2". He's a big Italian boy.
Yeah.
One of my best friends. He comes in the room, and first thing he's just, "What did we do?" I'm like trying not to laugh. And then he's just like, "No." And I've tried to say it. I can say the word. Guy says it. He's like, "Armando has cancer." This big dude picks me up. We're crying there. Just don't die. And then we go tell the group. They're all crying. And then I get in the car with my family, and I go back home.
Jesus.
And it was just, I remember the ride, man. Everyone in my family wants to stop the car the whole way. They want to hug me. I'm like, just I want to just go home and deal with what I got to do.
You're barely processing what's happening.
I'm just sitting in this car, and like the world's spinning. I remember my sister and her boyfriend at the time, her husband now, he has like a crazy BMW E. It's like an E30, but it's like decked out to the extreme for like 12 years. Guy loves that stuff. And he was driving me around, and I didn't want to go home yet. And where I lived, there was like, I snuck out my window that night once I finally got home, and there's a big hill, and I went up there and I started screaming at God. I was like, "I promised you I was going to be better and all these things, and this is what happened? Like, what the F, man? Like, this doesn't make sense. Everything I was told, like, why me?" And then I went to my results test, and they're like, "Hey, you have this long."
Hey, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
That's screaming at God, like,
yeah.
Because look, everyone has a different. I mean, I think everyone's done that before. Who's gone
Totally,
through
at one
enough
point
stuff.
or another, you
But
know?
like, were you like, because you literally believe that, hey, my consciousness came into this existence. There's a guy looking over me.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And
hey,
like, I felt like I was called to be part of ministry and like be that, and I like dedicated my life to it on that trip. And for that to be the outcome.
So were you just ravaged with loads of what am I trying to explain here? Because like I've had moments like that myself.
Yeah.
I didn't deal with what you were dealing with, but where I psychologically went all in on something
Totally.
and it didn't work out.
That's the worst.
But I also can see why it didn't work out in the totality of everything, right?
Totally.
It's no different than, as example, a kid being like, God, I just want a bike for Christmas. Please. And then Christmas comes and he gets like 2 new sweaters, right? Then he's sitting there thinking like, okay, like I do need these 2, but fuck, I just wanted that bike. And then that kid might be cursing God, but like as that, like that's a example of a spoiled kid versus you going through cancer versus me going through whatever I went through. But like I remember like that moment that I spited like my understanding of existence, which I use the word God, but
yeah,
I remember feeling this like instant like fear, like, okay, I didn't fucking catch you meaning, I'm so sorry, you know.
Totally.
But with you, like you're anger because like I've never been told I was gonna potentially die, right?
Totally.
So like were you actually kind of like because like God's supposed to be like a super parent in a way,
totally,
of
man. Like he's supposed to be like he's got your back. But I remember they said this in church and it rang in to me too. They're like, just because you believe and just because you said yes doesn't mean the ride's going to be easy. And I remember that, and I didn't remember it back then. I was young, I was mad, and I didn't know how to feel. And I knew that I promised you something and you weren't taking care of me.
Yeah.
And I felt that. And then,
well, for that moment, I guess what I'm trying to dive into, did you have a moment of, again, I didn't actually go through this. I'm just what I'm about to ask Armando here is, okay, let me find my wording. Did you have a moment of total like I don't give a fuck anymore?
Totally.
Like kind of like, hey, if God
think it's honestly stuck with me my whole life ever since then.
Oh, really? Okay.
I remember being really young and having that like diagnosis and then sitting there and being like, I'm not going to plan the rest of my life. There's no point. If I'm going to die soon, I'm just going to live how I want to live. And I remember doing treatment and I'd sneak out of the house and go do drugs and like party and like I'm like trying like just totally counterintuitively doing these horrible things that aren't helping me get better, but they weren't making me worse either. And
yeah, well, hold on. So as an example, I don't want to. Okay. So when you say drugs, we're just gonna assume like some drugs, some serious fucking drugs. Like you were with the cancer, you were still healthy enough to get through like a bad hangover or a big.
Well, no. So this is how bad it was, man. So I did chemo and radiation for like I did chemo for a year and I did radiation for like 3 months straight. Chemo was bad because at the end of it, they had to put me on like 3 days worth of Ativan nonstop kind of deal to pass me out because I was so sick and just like puking the whole time. That's the only way that I would just like have any rest is if they just like made me comatose. But before that, like when it first started, I looked healthy. I was still going to school during the process until my hair started falling out, and then I buzzed it, and I was like, F it, I'll still go. But I failed, man. I failed that year because I couldn't go to class. There's no way I'm in class and I'm going to puke. But then I also milked it. I remember there's like a girl named Sarah who she was in my English class, and I remember it specific because all the time she would like, I'd milk my cancer. I'm like, oh, Sarah, I really need a sandwich from the lunchroom. Can you go get one? She'd be like, no. And I'm like, I have cancer. She'd go get it.
I don't know why I'm laughing so hard.
No, but it's true, man. I would milk that. Even to this day, I milk my card whenever I get a chance. Hello.
You know, also, it's like, I hated math class so much in high school. If I had cancer, it might be like, yo, I got cancer.
Straight up, man. I used it so much. Anytime something that I didn't want to do, I'm like, I gotta go. I feel sick.
Yeah, but some things annoy you so hard that you're literally thinking like, I actually would rather die of cancer
right
than do
now
this fucking dumb math test right now than to deal with the weird effect it has on my mind because it's a study or whatever. I don't know. That's anyway, like kind of lighthearted look at that situation. Just
man. I actually had a great time. Like as much as it was like a really hard time of my life, I still did everything I wanted to do. I went to soccer provincials. I got second. I saved like this huge penalty shot. Like it's on video. Yeah. Like it was like sick.
Did your teammates know you were sick?
I didn't tell them until the last game, and then at that day we did it. And then at the end, I'm like, "Yo, I got cancer, and I ain't coming back next year." I like dipped. So there's that, and then
dude, man, like you performed better than Michael Jordan did when he had the flu. You know, you literally had fucking cancer.
It was like a wild time, and like looking back at it, like I really was. I thank my family because they were so like supportive in their own way. Like there's a lot of things they did weird, but there's a lot of things they did right.
Maybe too personal, but your mom and dad, are they together? Like
they're still together.
Okay,
they're old. They're old. My dad's like 78 or something like that.
Yeah.
my dad's got dementia now, so that's like a whole other ball game of thing I'm dealing with now.
Dementia?
Yeah, he's like,
he doesn't remember.
It's really crazy to see someone disappear within like weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And like sometimes he's so lucid.
Yeah.
If I get him really stoned, he gets really lucid. But if not, like
his body's there, but the mind is touch and go.
Yeah, and and sometimes he snaps in and he says like some really cool stuff. Like I was moving to my new place when I had it, when I just over here on downtown, and I remember I get there and I had to bring my dad because I was like babysitting him for the day because he gets lost. He runs away kind of deal. So I had him with me and I meet this landlord and he looks at me right before like we need to meet the lady and he's like, "Don't be nervous. This place is already yours." And the market's hard to find a spot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of people that have everything they're looking for and I only have a few.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm getting in. And I was like really paranoid. And he looked at me so lucid. He's like, "No, my son, this is yours." And then I walked up there. And in that conversation, he was the most lucid I've ever seen him. Like, chatty Cathy, like, so on. And then the second it was done, gone. And then he's back to his crazy self.
Jesus Christ, man. You're describing the fucking Notebook.
No, straight up. And I see it with him all the time. It's like, I watched him 2 weeks ago. My mom went to El Salvador. And that was a really eye-opening experience.
How old is your mom, bro?
My mom, this sounds bad that I don't know, but she's probably like 7. I won't say 70, but we'll see. She'll get mad at that. But like 69, 70, something, 72, something like that.
Wow, so they had you late.
They had me late. I was the surprise.
Okay,
Surprise. We
all
know that
I can relate.
Brother.
No, but I'm the surprise as well.
Yeah.
I literally was. My parents were supposed to have gotten maybe TMI here, but my mom had her tubes tied.
You're a miracle,
somehow,
bro. That's what you're supposed to do. You fought through that.
I guess. I don't know. Sometimes
you
I'm still
that thing, right?
Yeah. I'm like, quickly get me into all my business debt.
Yeah, totally.
Can't
Please
wait.
Help me do this right now.
Fuck, I don't know, man. No, man, dude, you seem like okay. The cancer thing. Continue to take me through that real quick. Like,
yeah,
how it obviously ended well.
It ended well. Like, long story short, I did school. I did all that while being sick. The biggest part was I lost my voice. I lost it for a good while. Like, I did radiation and my biggest thing was in my neck. So the guy told me, he's just like, yeah, like you won't be able to eat like solid foods too much. Like it burns you from the inside out. I don't know if your voice will ever come back the right way. And I remember it wasn't right. And I was sad about it because I've always sang and I would sneak out of my parents' house like I normally did out the window. And I'd go to the garage and there's an app called Smule, karaoke app. If you're trying to learn a song, go on there easy. You can sing into your headphones and there's like effects. And you can post it, and there's like these subcultures that live in this app that do like contests of mashups and all these things, which is a segue because it really developed my sound and developed how I mash things up and really changed the trajectory of how I sing. Because I'd go in this garage with this girl's disgusting gurgly voice, and I would cry and I'd sing and sing and sing, and it was like probably 3 weeks in, and I had a cough when I was singing, and I coughed out the nastiest stuff I've ever seen. But then my voice came out clear. And I was like, whoa. And then after that, I never stopped. Like, my voice came back different, stronger. And now look at, that's all I do.
Are you still spiritual, religious, or like Christian?
It's funny story. I was a pastor for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Like that later on in life.
Okay.
I had after cancer, instead of being a normal, I got saved, everything. I went off the deep end and just started partying and living life crazy. Then I had this aha moment where I was sitting in my parents' house and I saw a guitar and I saw these pictures of me on this mission trip. And I remember sitting on this bed and I prayed. I was like, hey, God, you get me into the church singing, I'll quit everything. And then 3 days later, I got a call from my sister saying, hey, this lady Aura wants to talk to you. She wants you to play it at Center Street Church in this and you're going to sing Everything by Lifehouse. And I sang it and it changed my whole life. Because in that moment, I was like, whoa, I did ask for this. And I went home and I smashed my stuff. I got rid of everything I had, and I got sober that time. It's been a few little stints,
yeah.
And I was back in church, and I did that ministry stuff for a while, and then I ended up working at another church. I won't say the name, not to get them all mad, but I went to that church and I worked there as a worship pastor for a while. And I don't know if it was I don't want people to hate on me. I wasn't fully spiritually there to do that, but it did change me a lot. And then I left that, and I ended up changing my life around, and now full-time music's my thing. But that's a whole story too, how that changed. But
dude, you're absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, man, I've lived many lives.
This is first of many podcasts here. Armando,
yeah,
Noah,
I'm just always interested because it can relate to me and other people I know. It's like the amount of the emotional experience, right?
Oh man,
like how do you go from feeling abandoned by God, literally having this thing called
changing
cancer,
around,
like,
becoming a pastor,
becoming a pastor,
and then
except switching back, like the yo-yoing effect. 1 minute.
I don't know if that shows my growth or it shows I'm unstable, but either one.
Well, okay. Let me.
I feel good
the
now.
unstable thing. The do you have the same personality though, right?
Honestly,
it's not like, or do you feel like you have multiple different
sure.
people living in one body?
No,
here?
my genuine thing is I definitely deal with depression. That's like first and foremost. Like I think I have moments of like deep depression where like, but this is how it
feel
works.
satisfied.
Yeah, and it for no reason. I could just be sitting there and it'll hit me like a ton of bricks, and all of a sudden I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Everything is great.
So that part of you that can still separate to analyze and say this doesn't make any sense, it still can't stop the person
totally
that's feeling it.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
and
that's something
I really have to figure out like what I'm feeling, and I have to realize, is this me feeling this, or am I picking up off someone in this room? Because I deal with so much of that, and my whole job every night, 4 or 5 nights a week, is to feel the whole room and be receptive to it, and really feel those things. And when you don't, if I was to hold back and not feel those things, I couldn't connect the same way. So now that I do open up and I feel everything, sometimes I have a hard time distinguishing what's mine and what's not.
Man, like this is again just so fascinating. You're like, musicians are literally feeling readers.
Yeah, man, totally.
It's
that's what it's about.
But I never realized, like, we're taking our toll on you as an audience if you can't distinguish, because sometimes you might feel like, okay, time to like, okay, the room is full of anger and hate. It's like, okay, like,
and how do you fight
like,
that?
Okay, I'm gonna fight that with like a good love song or something.
And sometimes it doesn't work.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
It does not work.
Sometimes they're not in the mood for that, and literally, but then you're right. Like, we didn't realize, like, we're draining your energy too.
Yeah, totally.
So, like, obviously, the happier and authentic we are as an audience, the happier and more authentic you are.
And a lot of the time, people don't realize, like, yes, that is part of it totally. But imagine too that a musician that's playing also has their own personal crap.
Yeah.
So that's already draining them to like the 10th degree.
Yeah.
So then they come to this, like they go to this gig, and all of a sudden their girlfriend's mad at them because they did one stupid little thing, or they forgot one thing, and now she's blowing you up, and then you have to walk in on stage and play like nothing happened, or like you can get the worst news in the world, but the second that it's your time to turn that mic on, it's your time to turn it on.
Yeah.
And be a professional about it and realize, yes, I feel this way, but because I feel this way, it's my job to like translate that and get it out in this music, but in an effective, positive way.
Is that why a lot of artists are, you find out later that they kill themselves or this or that?
Totally, I think it's because
they're just such crazy deep feelers.
Totally,
they're just overloaded with emotion.
All the time.
And like, I'm not saying emotion as in like, oh my god, I didn't get my fucking Starbucks. No, I mean like you're overloaded with like feeling like, holy shit, like this person's literally feeling this amount of pain. Maybe they literally have family in Gaza right now, and they're just like,
totally.
And then you're like, holy shit, this person is like taking care of like 20 people at once, and it's like, this is their one night out, and then this person is just a loosey goosey guy who's super spoiled and just enjoying himself.
And it's your job to be the most happy person in that room.
Yeah.
And like, no matter what, and I get that a lot. People are like, yo, you're always so happy, and I was like, if you only saw me on the days off.
Yeah.
You only saw me when I wasn't out here doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And like the true fact is, I'll play 4 or 5 nights a week, but then those other nights I'm not playing, I'm picking myself together because I have no energy. I have nothing. I have like no cup I filled with. I let it all out, and now I'm like, oh, how am I gonna feel better? What do I need? And then I notice for me, that's when like I do stupid things, or I get really like depressive, and I get stuck in my funks where people that know me and they see this are gonna laugh. I don't answer text messages. Like right now, my phone's not in here, but if I pull it out, I have 79 text messages I haven't answered yet.
Yeah.
And that's that's religiously in my phone like that on every platform. And unless it's something I'm dealing with in that exact moment, I have a hard time, because my energy's already doing so many other things, to like be there and be like, I'm gonna give you this energy right now and reply to this, unless it matters. Yeah. If you call me saying you're dying, or you text me and you need me, cool, I'll be there in a second. But if you're gonna call me for like some recipe, look it up online. I'm not the guy. I don't have time for that right now.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be there for you in the darkest part.
Right.
So like, but to actually like people, I feel like socials have made it so everyone thinks they have that right to be like, I messaged you, you owe me a response in like 5 minutes.
Yes.
No, back in the day, you'd have to put it on a pigeon's leg and hope it got there.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, I want that old school love where you can't go in your phone and find someone else in 2 seconds. You know, like,
well, you know, but Armando, it's like everyone's time frames are so different.
Totally.
Like
right?
what is a half hour to you to say, you know, I'm gonna sit on this, responding to this. That half hour could be 3 people waiting on one guy for a 1 minute response that can affect like 20 business decisions.
Totally, right?
So like I'm not saying like, oh, well, fuck,
but I
answer every message.
I'm
just explaining. It's like it's unique how everything is interrelated, and
Totally.
But I'm with you where I have some moments where I literally am like, phone is down.
Yeah, I shut down.
I am watching this show, listening to this podcast, and I am tuning out because I need to reset because my stress,
Totally.
my ship, if you will, the shields are down. Like I've taken too much beatings, you know, like
Totally.
like the last missile, my fucking set me done, and I need to maintain as much of my emotional calmness as I can to, like it's like the brain is constantly juggling, you know, like
and I'm
duties
really
and tasks.
ADHD, so the problem is I have like 1,000 fires at one time.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I'll do something here with this one. I'm like, oh no, this one needs, and I'll do this one. I'll forget about that one, and then eventually they get turned out, but it ain't the same.
And you're also drained energy wise.
Yeah, and so I'm like, and sometimes I hardcore forget. So luckily, I have people in my life that help me with that. But if not,
but a lot of musicians and artists are like that.
Totally, man.
Your ability to create the art comes from you hyper experiencing emotion.
Yeah,
that's literally what it is. So it's like. So you have to experience. So whether you like it or not, you're feeling 10 times more than the average. The average guy might just be like, what am I gonna have for cereal today? Some fucking Frosted Flakes. That's like the biggest.
I'm literally like, what does
decision.
my life mean right now?
Yeah. Like literally, you're like, I survived cancer. Why am I in this podcast room?
Yeah,
I was playing music. What am
like,
I doing? I was on Canadian Idol. I can really picture, man, and like because I do have an element to that artist element in me. I can tell, like, but I'm not enough to pursue any art in particular.
Yeah,
that's why I feel like I'm like, well, I'm the man for the podcasting gig because
totally,
like
man.
I'm this antenna guy that kind of like, as I relate to Joe Rogan, like I can literally just like I can talk to anyone and empathize and feel what they're feeling and relate to something I felt and it is a duty I feel like to do this too, like and just to let the people know who filter through the Kaks Bar and Podcast, you're like people know what you're feeling, like just and like
up, man.
And you know more and more people will know. Armando, you know, like what you've gone through is already just what do you take from that, first of all? Like what, like you were religious,
like, from all of it, man.
So,
I do you
believe God gave you cancer on purpose? Like, I mean,
no,
like,
I don't. I hope not, because if I get up there, I'm gonna yell. That sucked, bro. No, honestly, I don't think, like, when it comes down to religion or what I believe or not believe, I do believe there's something up there. If not, it'd be kind of hopeless. I don't know if I believe in the church because it's like a man-made facet. The book is made by men, but if you read the book, it says men are sinful in nature in the first place. So how are you going to trust a book that was man-made? Kind of sus.
Yeah,
kind of sus.
And then with that being said, you can take a look at your own life, like
exactly.
For a guy who's super spiritual and religious and Christian, you were sinning like consciously. And you're probably asking yourself, like, why am I doing this? Like, obviously there's a joy.
Yeah, like I do the things I don't want to do, yet I still do them, and it's like, why? What's the chasm? What's the point of it?
It like that fascination is always something that I struggle with now, because I'm like, it's very easy to separate from your mind for a second and talk like you're the adult guiding your mind. You can say, hey, you're supposed to hit the gym, not eat candy, not drink alcohol, not smoke, like blah, 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 right? Like, it's like you're supposed to do all that, but the reality is, like, try doing it.
Yeah, try, watch. Really try.
That exact moment, it's going to be like, today we're not going to have any sugar. Oh, it just so happened it's little Sally's birthday, and
yeah.
And all your aunts and everyone's having birthday cake, and like, it's actually more detrimental for you not to have the birthday cake, not because of your fucking body, it's because you're killing the energy in the room just so you can keep on your fitness journey.
About that.
And it's like, I don't know, man. It's like
it's about holding that energy no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
And to choose to do that is a skill, and it's a strength.
Yeah.
And not everyone has it.
Yeah, exactly. And or they haven't even tried. I don't know. It's like I just know I don't know. There just needs to be way the fuck more like step back compassion
and also just be present. Just be present. It's all just but be present and watch what's happening. Yeah. If that was you, how would you feel? End of story. Like,
yeah, people are so fucked up though, man. Like so many people now, they don't actually care about like
anything.
How does that make them feel? Like they're so dialed in. We're actually in such a rough spot as a human species right now because people are just so like dialed in, soaked in on like, what does my ego need? I need more recognition. My favorite is this.
Pray for the people at this place, and I was like, stop it. I prayed. Don't post that. If you prayed, cool. That's your personal thing. But you're doing that for this like weird glorified. Look at me.
Yeah.
For these people, but look at me.
Yeah.
While I'm looking, and it's like no, stop. That's all this is about.
But the paradox of what you just said there is like we just did that now with the podcast, saying like, hey, if you pray, don't say anything. But now we have the footage saying like, hey, if you pray, don't say anything, showing like that if we prayed, we indirectly are saying that we prayed through explaining on the pod,
right?
I don't know. It's
but in that sense, right? But what I'm saying is like, don't do those things expecting for an expectation to make you look a certain way.
Like
those things
genuine
are supposed
goodness
to be done sacrificially. Like
yes, like genuine goodness, it will come when you know you did it without a camera watching.
Totally.
Like it's
totally.
like yeah, and I'll leave it at that. It's like
I agree with that 100%, full-heartedly, man.
Mm-hmm. Hey Armando, we did an hour already.
That's
here.
wild.
I feel like I barely cracked the surface.
Even a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Bro, come back on again.
Done and done.
Okay. Okay, guys. I'm gonna put all Armando's information on the show notes there. Great musical artist. Will bring emotion out of you. This guy can sing. This guy can play.
All requests live. All you want. All you need.
All requests
4 or 5
live.
nights a week.
Yeah, exactly. If you're looking to book Armando, his information will again be in the show notes there. But from what I understand, business is good for you right now.
Heck yeah, man. It's moving. It's flowing. I can't complain.
Yeah.
I'll never complain even if they ask me to.
Well, you've been through a lot, man. You literally survived cancer unexpectedly put on you. Okay, Armando, I want a part 2, man. Okay, this is part 1 here.
Let's do it.
But,
part 1.
Yeah, we'll get a part 2 with Armando here. Fuck, brother. Hey.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll hopefully get you performing more at Kaks here as well, and we can fit you if your schedule is free there.
Heck yeah.
Okay, everyone, have a good night. Okay, or a good day. Bye.